All right, the middleweight division has become a little bit confusing since the last, Gennady Golovkin Canelo rematch, right? It's actually a mess right now. So like always, I've done my homework in order to break it down for you guys and try to make a little bit of sense of the chaos. I mean, it's just a mess right now, but okay, I'm hearing a lot. Where does Golovkin go from here? What happens next? So this is what I think. This is what I think will happen next. And really, it's not what I think will happen next. It's what I heard from Tom Loeffler and other people that I trust in the media. So, all right, let's start with the most recent fights over the weekend. Okay, first off, the original plan was Gennady Golovkin was probably going to face Moreta, right? But he was completely schooled by Brandt, okay? And, of course, now you got certain boxing outlets claiming, this foils Gennady Golovkin's plan for taking the path of, easy resistance, right? Basically, he was going to be, take the Moreta fight. Now he's going to be forced to fight someone like Charlo. Okay, that's what I'm hearing. And, which is kind of ridiculous, but whatever, we'll get into that a little bit more later. So, but look, on a side note, people are wondering why Brandt was dominated by a 39-year-old Bremer in his last, fight. He gassed out, looked terrible, but looked like a prime Manny Pacquiao throwing 1,200 punches. I mean, my God, we're talking about Brandt right here versus Moreta, throwing 1,200 punches against Moreta. I mean, looking like a damn prime Manny Pacquiao. I mean, I was blown away. I watched the highlights of it. But I will say, although he was fighting a guy that came down from light heavyweight at super middleweight, so he was too small, to be competing in that tournament. So, that could explain the dramatic loss, comparison, upset, that kind of thing, because people are wondering, why do you look so bad against this guy and then look great against Moreta, right? And, I did a little bit of homework on it, and as well, like I said, the dude was coming down from light heavyweight, fighting Brandt at super middleweight, which, he didn't belong there. So now, of course, Brandt claims, he was running 7 miles a day uphill, blah, blah, blah. He had a great training camp. But to me, still, something is highly suspect about that. He looked like a completely different fighter regardless of the competition. Okay, so I wanted to just kind of bring that up and throw that in there because I think it's very important. He looked dramatically different. Okay, so, but now, according to the haters, the walls are closing in, okay? The walls are closing in on Triple G. Okay, the easy path has been destroyed, so here we are. Okay, here's the options. Okay, look, he can simply wait it out and sign up with his own and get the Canelo trilogy, right? He can fall in line, be a good little boy, and get the Canelo trilogy. He could do that. Now, side note, Moreta, promoted by Bob Arum, Top Rank, and they already had a plan to face Triple G against Moreta in Japan early 2019, but that loss changes everything. So that was the original plan, Gennady Golovkin, Moreta, Tokyo, Japan, 2019. Now, number 2. Triple G versus Brandt. Now, according to the pencil pushers, the numbers guys, Golovkin wouldn't get that kind of money, fighting Brandt that he would have received against Moreta, which would make it kind of unlikely that fight will take place. Because, like I said, they wanted Moreta. Okay, now, they got Brandt, but there's really no money in it, so I don't think that'll happen, but you never know. Now, number 3, if Golovkin wants to get a big money or get the big money, he could possibly move up to super middleweight, because remember, they talked about this before the Canelo fights. Fight maybe a Caleb Smith or a Gilberto Ramirez, right? David Benavidez, something like that. And like I said, they already talked about Gennady Golovkin moving up after the Canelo rematch, so it's a very likely possibility, and you got Canelo moving up, so hey, why not? Number 4, okay, just short and sweet, Danny Jacobs rematch, got the IBF, he could go after that IBF title in a Jacobs rematch, possibility. Okay, number 5, the newly crowned WBO middleweight champion Demetrius Andrade, although that was it was a gift for Demetrius Andrade in a complete mismatch. But again, Golovkin would need to sign up with Eddie Hearn with his own, so we don't know. Okay, so Now, also, quick, if Triple G did face Brandt, it would be for the regular WBA. Okay, keep that in mind. So again, this whole Brandt situation, people are talking about, oh, no, now he's going to fight Brandt, blah 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 blah. Well, he holds a version of the WBA. Okay, Canelo is the real WBA champion, the super champion. So even if Golovkin beat Brandt, he would only hold a version of that belt. Okay, so again, that fight doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, here's a quote from Bob Arum. Okay, he may have lost the decision, but I thought he won the fight. Triple G is a big name. If Golovkin fights Moretta in Japan at the Tokyo Dome, it would be absolutely huge. But, the whole plan has been completely ruined and unraveled. Okay, Moretta brings enormous numbers in Japan. It would have been a good fight. Okay, so, and now here's a quote from Tom Loeffler. And look, this basically lets you know their state of mind. Okay, it lets you know where they are mentally and what they plan to do with Golovkin in the future. Okay, he went on to say, there are 3 boxers who move the needle, whether it's selling pay-per-view tickets or attracting subscribers: Anthony Joshua, Canelo, and Triple G. Okay, we are receiving lots of offers, significant offers, so I'm sifting through them to make sure we get Golovkin the best deal. Okay, Loeffler said he's talking to ESPN, Showtime, DAZN. He also mentioned some mysterious platform that is not involved in boxing right now that has expressed interest in Triple G. So I don't know who in the hell he's talking about, but apparently some promotional company out there that, they're very interested in Gennady Golovkin, but he won't tell us who. And of course, Charlo for the WBC elimination, whatever make-believe bout that the WBC concocted, wouldn't even be for a belt, right? So I don't know. I mean, there's this like portion of the YouTube community out there that, that's claiming that Gennady Golovkin is ducking Charlo, but for what? I mean, Charlo, is he going to bring big numbers, no. I mean, there's really no belt on the line. Canelo has the WBC, so, the thing is, look, here's the thing. Instead of blaming Golovkin, the boxing fans, they need to be pissed off at Canelo, because Canelo should be fighting Charlo. Charlo is his mandatory, right? So it's crazy to me, especially the Canelo fans. They're like, Golovkin is ducking Charlo. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like, your boys, that's his mandatory. So what the hell are you talking about? So anyway, Charlo Golovkin, like I said, would be a big fight, but I don't know. I don't know how it would go as far as dollars and cents. I don't know. I don't know how it would go. So, basically we have Brandt, Canelo, or let's see, we have Brandt, Canelo trilogy, Demetrius Andrade, Danny Jacobs, Charlo, or possibly move up to 168. And like I said, wouldn't it be crazy to have Canelo Golovkin at 168, right? I mean, just at a trilogy, or for the trilogy, right? So, and look, I like that they're proactive and they're talking about Golovkin's future. That tells me they want to continue fighting. But the question is, can Triple G compete at that level? Okay, some people would say Triple G was robbed. Okay, the rematch should have been a draw. I agree. Therefore, nothing has changed. Other people will tell you he's getting old. He can no longer compete at that level. Okay, the truth is, we just need to wait and see. Okay, I personally think he has at least 2, maybe 3 fights left in him, is what I think. At a 70-80% Gennady Golovkin, that's my personal opinion. Maybe an 80% Golovkin, 2 or 3 more fights. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, is this going to end up like Kovalev? Is he going to just, is he on the decline now? And it's going to get worse and worse and worse, and he's eventually going to get, dominated or knocked out? I don't know. I mean, we have to wait and see, but just to kind of recap, like I said, the plan was Moretta in Tokyo, at the Tokyo Dome in Japan. Okay, that's foiled. That's not going to happen. Okay, now, it could be a Charlo. It could be a move to 168. Like I said, Caleb Smith, Ramirez, something like that. Okay, Brandt is another option, but the money's not there for Brandt. I mean, so they're in a tough situation here. Like, where do they go? Now, to me, the obvious move would be, Daniel Jacobs, or go after the WBO with Demetrius Andrade. But again, he'd be forced to sign with a promotional company that they may not want to sign with. So not only does Golovkin have to pick an opponent, he's got to pick a promotional company, or who's he going to sign with, right? So it's incredibly complicated. You know, that's why I said in the beginning of the video, it's a mess, and it's really, there's two parts to it. It's like, A, who's he going to fight next, and B, you know, who's he going to sign with, you know? And the question is, whoever he signs with, will that allow him to fight, or will that put roadblocks up? Now, I like this new streaming thing. I do. I like that, you know, you have DAZN, you have ESPN Plus. I like that, you know, we're getting away from 80, you know, 70, 50, whatever dollar pay-per-view bullshit. I like that. But I'm already seeing the walls being thrown up. You know, you got Eddie Hearns talking, well, you know, if you don't sign with me, you can't fight him, you know. And remember, Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya, Bob Arum, all these guys criticize Al Heyman, you know, for monopolizing boxing. Like, you know, basically, if you're not with PBC, then you're not fighting my guys. You know, I have a stable of guys right here, which, by the way, they have over 200 fighters in their stable. You know, if you're not signed with me, you know, in the PBC brand, then you're not going to fight my guys. You know, they all criticized him for that. And there was even lawsuits. Remember, Golden Boy took him to court and tried to file some, you know, the Muhammad Ali Act, you know, this big lawsuit thing. And now they're doing the exact same thing. You know, they're telling Golovkin, well, you know, if you want to fight my guy, if you want this belt, you know, you need to sign with me. You know, it's crazy because, I mean, it's not crazy. You think about it, because now, you know, he's got money coming in from both doors, right? And I'm talking about Eddie Hearns, right? Or Eddie Hearn, whatever. So, you know, to me, they're hypocrites, and I don't like it. Like I said, I was excited because I thought that the matchmaking would improve with all the dynamics changing, but it seems like maybe they're going to get worse, right? You know, like this guy can't fight him. He can't. It's crazy. You know, you take, you know, Spence was talking about Crawford, right? And Spence even said, you know, he's on the other side of the pond, so I can't even talk about him because, you know, he's not with us, so I can't fight him. I mean, that's just ridiculous to me. I'm like, I guess I'm old school, you know, cut from the old cloth, right? I mean, I remember back in the day, like, if you wanted to fight someone, you could fight them. There was really, it wasn't a hard thing to make happen. And now it's like you have these like categories of boxing. You know, you got this guy here, you know, and it sucks. It does, because that way the best cannot fight the best, you know, so it's unfortunate. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe they'll wake up and they'll realize the mistake they're making, because it is a mistake. You know, they need to put themselves in a position to where it's open season. Any guy can fight any guy, you know, so, but I'll probably leave it at that. I mean, my personal pick, as far as Gennady Golovkin, I mean, I think he should go for like a 1-fight deal, maybe a 2-fight deal with whoever he needs to go with in order to get a belt. Okay, so, you know, for example, if he wants to get the WBO, you know, go to Eddie Hearn and say, look, we'll give you 1 fight, we'll give you 2 fights possibly, and just go for the belt. You know, so, and as far as, you know, people talking about Gennady Golovkin's going to take, you know, cherry pick and cash out, he doesn't need to. I mean, the guy has just made like probably $40-50 million in the last 2 Canelo fights. He doesn't need to cherry pick some guy for $3 or $4 million. That doesn't make any kind of sense, you know. So I'm tired of hearing that crap too, that, oh, you know, he's going to cherry pick this and cherry pick that. You know, no, he's, you know, and he might. Okay, if he does, it'll be to cash out and to retire. But to me, it sounds like they're competitive and they're trying to get back on top. That's what it sounds like to me. And then you have, let me end it here. I don't mean to babble, but there's just so much to be said right now. Okay, with Canelo, right? What's going to happen to him? I mean, this dude just won the belts, okay? Won the middleweight belts. What is he? The WBC, WBA, and then moves up to 168. It's like, what the hell is that, right? I mean, he can only run, maneuver, duck, and dodge for so long. Eventually, he's going to have to defend those titles against real fighters like a Charlo, you know, things like that. You know, maybe, who knows, a Billy Joe Saunders, whoever the mandatories may be. Canelo can only duck, dodge, and hide for so long. So it's a possibility that Canelo will vacate or lose those belts, and Golovkin can get them back, you know, with some crazy avenue that we can't even think of right now. Because, I mean, who could have predicted what happened? Who could have thought that, you know, Golovkin would get stripped of the IBF, Billy Joe Saunders would lose in WBO, you know, Canelo would get some gift decision and run away with the WBC and WBA. Who would have thought, right? You can't predict this shit. So it's a possibility that Canelo will lose those 2 belts and open up a new door for Golovkin. That's my point. So anyway, guys, what do you think? Leave it below.